Awesome. So welcome both of you for this Weight Loss Starts in the Mind Masterclass. I'm repeating this for the third time, and this will be the last time actually I'm presenting this. And I'll tell you why towards the end of this presentation. But I'm so excited to have you all here, and I'm excited to share this presentation because this is a very powerful topic, and I know it can really help so many of us. So when you think about weight loss, right? A huge part of losing weight is believing that you can do it and realizing that it's not going to happen overnight. We see a lot of fitness companies, nutrition coaches, dietitians, talking about weight loss. Some of them give very quick fixes. Some of them don't give quick fixes, but many of them talk about nutrition and diet as two big pillars of weight loss. And yes, it is. But today by the end of today's class, I'm hoping that you understand that it's much more beyond that. So let's get started. Okay. Okay. So just a little bit of information about me so that you know I know what I'm talking about. I'm an anxiety life coach. I'm a hypnotherapist. I've been trained in the Palo Alto School of Hypnotherapy as well as the UC San Diego School of Integrative Medicine, specifically on hypnosis. And hypnosis is nothing but mind-body medicine. So how we can use the mind to heal the body, how we can use the mind to heal the mind as well is what hypnosis is all about. And I specialize in teaching holistic tools for stress relief, for changing subconscious patterns, for helping you heal your bodily challenges. And in this case, in this masterclass, we will talk a little bit more about how we can use hypnosis and other mind-body tools to help understand and heal, bring weight loss to our body, improve our body image. And my goal for you today is to increase awareness so that you can understand things much more deeper, or what are the things that's impacting you. I am hoping that I can show you a mirror, but also give you hope. So a mirror will give you some, fact checks. You will have some, okay, these are the things that's happening at the back end, but I'm also hoping that it inspires you to start taking action. And what I really want for you to get at the end of today's presentation, it's not just about food and exercise. While food and exercise is the pillars, underneath that, there is a whole bunch of guys there. And what do I mean by it? We're talking about emotions, we're talking about stress, we're talking about relationships, we are talking about loving ourselves, we're talking about worthiness, self-worth, beliefs, fears, habits, addictions, and associations of food and comfort. How much we tend to go towards food for meeting our needs for comfort. So these are things that I'm hoping that you would get. Some time back, I have a WhatsApp group, and if you guys are not in the WhatsApp group, you are welcome to join. So in the WhatsApp group, we did a poll about this very topic, right? About weight loss and how do we handle what is our attitude towards weight loss, and why do you think we really go in for indulgence in food? And people gave all kinds of answers. There was somebody who said, food gives me comfort and happiness. Somebody said hormones and metabolism is the culprit for me. Many of them said I'm frequently emotional and have a lot going on in my life that's bothering me. There are a few who said I'm overwhelmed at work, overwhelmed and exhausted. I don't have time to focus on diet and exercise. And I eat pretty healthy. Some of them said I eat healthy. I have a decent exercise routine, but I'm still not sure what is the real reason. And these were some of the things that people shared. Some other things that they shared was that they don't have a very healthy relationship towards food, and that's something that they've noticed since childhood. They've also said that I've had some past traumas, and sometimes I feel that the body needs my food as a safety buffer. There were a very few who said the last point, but there were a few. So if any of these things relate to you, please put it in the chat. I really want you to kind of, engage with me as we go through this masterclass. So if any of these points, relate to you, any of these things like food gives you my comfort, I'm frequently emotional, or hormones affect me, or I'm overwhelmed and exhausted. For me, that is one thing, right? I find myself reaching out to that extra packet of chips, or craving for sugar when I am very exhausted, when I'm tired, and I've noticed that pattern in me. So great, wonderful, thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing about hormones and comfort, and also the food helps with being alone. Yes, that's a very, very good point. Thank you for sharing that. Now, as we go ahead, um, oh, these were two other things that we missed in the WhatsApp poll, is that I fall into my cravings and use unhealthy food. Even when my body is signaling, no, 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 I still go and reach out for that food. I'm just giving myself an excuse that, hey, I'm just being kind to myself. I need to be pampered right now. And that also can be a pattern that some of us, associate ourselves with stress, boredom, and as you said rightly, with loneliness. Food can have associations with it. Now, one of the things that many people don't realize is that when we want weight loss, and I'm sure you might be here because of your own weight loss journey, or you want to help a family member, maybe a child, maybe a sibling, a friend, and you're here to understand more. But when we think about weight loss, most of us want long-term weight loss. We just don't want to lose and then gain everything back, right? But if we want really long-term weight loss, we have to change what's going on, not just physically or in terms of lifestyle and nutrition and diet, but we have to address the emotional reasons, mental and physical. So it has to be, all the three has to be there happening simultaneously. Why is that so? Because emotional and mental affect our physical choices. Our moods affect our choices. Our emotional patterns affect our choices. If I am bored, I'm going to reach out, no matter how much my willpower is, how strong my willpower seems to be, I will still reach out for that packet of chips, or grab that cola, or grab that sugar. Whatever I don't want to do, I end up doing that either because I'm bored or stressed or unhappy. So unless we work with the emotional and mental reasons, we are not going to see those long-term results. So there is really no pill, drink, or magic potion for the weight problem. And this might be contrary to certain other places or organizations who say that, no, no, in 6 weeks, you're going to lose weight. Generally, when they promise quick weight loss, it's a very unhealthy way of losing weight, or else it's not sustainable. And if we really want sustainable things, we have to look beyond food and exercise into emotion, stress, relationships, self-love, and so many other things. Okay. So by the end of today's class, I'm hoping that you have that firm understanding that you are not controlled by your hormones. You're not controlled by your emotions, and you can control what you eat. Even though right now it might feel that, hey, I am controlled by my emotions, I am controlled by my own hormones, but I'm hoping that that will have a little bit of change there, and you realize weight loss, even though it's not a quick fix, you can actually do something about it. Okay, so let's start with a little bit of centering exercise. I invite you, and if you guys are comfortable being on video, I would love to see you. It's always nice to engage with. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so go ahead and make yourself comfortable. Take a couple of nice deep breaths. And just observe your breathing for a moment. Observe how you're breathing in and breathing in. Breathing in And breathing out. And tell yourself that for the next 45 minutes to 15 minutes, I'm going to detach myself from everything that's happening in the world around me. And I'm going to focus in myself, in my breathing, and really bring attention to what's being learned in this masterclass. And go ahead to center yourself even more. Just go ahead and put your hands, palms in your chest. And just whisper along with me. You can keep yourself mute, but whisper along with me and say the words love, love, love. And each time you say the word, just breathe in the energy of love from the universe. And allow your heart to expand, not literally, but energetically. Allow your heart to expand with this amazing emotion and energy of love. And at a few moments, as you get ready, you can come back to the here and now and open your eyes. Wonderful. So centering is a very, very powerful practice. And as you just saw, we can center ourselves in just within 2 minutes. We can do it as often as possible. The more often we do it, we are helping clear up our mind and our mental space in our head. Okay, so let's start with, I'm going to invite you to put it in the chat. So what would you love to feel in your body if weight was no longer a struggle? What would you love to feel in your body? And for those of you who are just watching the recording, go ahead and take this time to just notice and write down for yourself, what is it that I would love to feel in my body? How would you want your body to feel? What do you want to feel in your body? Energy. Yes. You want your body to feel more energetic. Anybody else? Energy, strength, and light. Absolutely. And I also, when I ask myself this question, one of the things that comes to me is I want to feel lighter. I don't want my body to feel heavy. I want to feel more lighter. I want to feel more energetic. I want to feel my body to feel strong. Yes. I want to feel that confidence in my body. I want to feel that sense of confidence when I walk around, go about rather than feeling something different. And yes, balance as well. Great, great answers. Thank you so much for sharing. So, another question for all of you is, why have you been unable to lose weight or maintain weight loss in the past? And this may be about you, or this may be about somebody that you are deeply concerned about, or who's close to you. But what is it that has been deterring or an obstacle for losing weight? And I can share about myself as you are introspecting and thinking about this. For me, one of the biggest things, and while all of you know me, and you may think, oh, you don't need to lose weight, but yes, I do need to lose weight. In the last 3 years, I've put on quite a few pounds, and it's not really healthy. It's not just for aesthetics, but also for health reasons. For me, I think it is very important. But one of the things that I have, it has been a deterrent for me to lose weight is steady discipline on practice in, diet, maintaining a particular diet or exercise, and also kind of indulging in uh, comfort foods at times when I'm exhausted, when I'm just, or when I'm bored, or when I'm lonely. And the third thing for me is obstacle is that my age as well. I'm at a menopausal age, and that kind of also becomes a deterrent because my hormones are working against me. So you mentioned that you love junk food and no discipline in following any diet. So that is one of the obstacles, of course. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, okay. Now, when we think about weight loss, right? We the one thing that most of us tell ourselves is, hey, I don't have the willpower. I don't have the discipline. I don't have the willpower. I can't do it. I'm not able to sustain. I'm not able to do it again and again and again. And the judgmental words that we tell ourselves is, I'm so lazy, or I don't have self-control. And sometimes when you're frustrated, you can ask yourself this question: why can't I stick to it? Why can't I stick to that routine that I want to follow? And we are not able to understand why. But the truth is, weight struggles are not about willpower. Because you think about it, think of one thing, and I'm sure you have a long list, but think of one thing that you're able to do daily, every day without fail. You are able to probably going to work. Maybe you're able to sustain and, have your breakfast regularly. Maybe you are doing other things consistently, maybe for others or for yourself. But there are lots of things that we are being disciplined and we have the will for, but weight struggles are not about willpower. What it might be about is priority, is one. It's not really on our top priority that we focus all our attention to it. And underlying that, it could be that we have underlying emotions that we are not addressing. And so whenever you're trying, and think of emotions as iron chains tied to your leg, right? If I have iron chains tied to my leg and I want to complete um, a 3 mile walk at a particular speed, my speed will dramatically come down. I can't walk fast at all. Maybe I will not even be able to complete that round because I get so tired and exhausted because of the iron chains in my leg. So emotions is like that. If you don't address those emotions, those though they come as real blocks and they prevent us from taking that action. And all we are telling ourselves in our brain is, hey, I will do it tomorrow, or maybe next week I'm going to start. But we are not able to actually do it in the present moment. Okay. And another reason when I say weight loss is not about willpower, especially all of us are women here. When you look at women, many women are actually super women. Most of us are. We are super women. We are doing so many things parallelly. We're taking care of our family. We're taking care of our children. We are maintaining the house. We're doing the chores. We are, driving people up and down. And we are doing service for others. We are going and volunteering. We're doing so many tasks, and we're doing it simultaneously. And that doesn't mean does that demonstrate that we don't have control? Does it demonstrate we don't have the discipline? No. The very fact that we are able to multitask and do so many things shows how much of strength we have, how much of discipline we have, how much of capabilities we have. We women are amazing. And we don't give ourselves enough credit for it. We are constantly looking for what are the things we are not doing. We are constantly thinking, oh, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, that person is doing. We're comparing with other people, but we are not giving ourselves enough credit for all the amazing things that we do in our lives. We are amazing women, but we are not able to follow through with our weight loss. And what does that translate? Because there are those iron chains, invisible iron chains that is tied to us that we are not able to free up. We are not even aware that those are iron chains. And so we are just continuously trying to do the things that we are doing. Now, some of us are also moms. We have given birth, brought up children, and you look at it, how much of resilience, how much of strength, how much of discipline is required to do just that, right? It is an amazing amount of strength that we women have. We don't give ourselves enough credit to. The real truth, ladies, is that you're not broken. You're not indisciplined. You're not lazy. It is basically your subconscious system that's trying to protect. Because think about it. Say you're lonely. And when you're all alone and feeling that sense of loneliness, you reach out for that packet of chips and maybe you're watching a movie. And after half an hour, 45 minutes, you feel much better. Isn't it? We feel better. So that packet of chips is nothing but the subconscious mind has told this is a lesser evil than getting deeper into loneliness or maybe into depression. So your subconscious mind is protecting you from that deeper state, mental state that can happen if we don't comfort ourselves. Or if we are extremely stressed and we don't know how to handle the stress. And we tell ourselves, no, I'm so stressed today. I just need to eat my sugar, my cakes and my ice creams. And when we tell ourselves that, my subconscious mind is just protecting ourselves so that the stress is able to come down and we're able to calm ourselves. It's a calming mechanism. It's a coping mechanism. Food becomes a coping mechanism for us. And is it an unhealthy or healthy coping mechanism? It can be unhealthy at times, depending on the kind of food that we want to eat. But even then, at that point of time, subconscious mind safeguards us and protects us so that we are able to manage. Now, let's have some practical examples, right? Look at Meera here. She's a mom of two. And what does she do? She finds herself raiding the snack drawer every evening once the kids are asleep. What she tells herself is she calls it my me time. She's exhausted at the end of the day. She's been busy throughout the day, but at the end of the day, she calls it a me time. And what is really happening is deep down, she's emotionally depleted, and food becomes her only form of comfort. So emotional eating often masks a lack of emotional nourishment. It's not the hunger for food. It's actually the hunger for rest. It's a hunger for joy. It's a hunger for excitement. It's a hunger of being seen. It's a hunger of feeling fulfilled. It's a hunger of having a purpose. So many of you might relate to it, the fact that when we are working and we are really busy, we don't even think about food. When we are happy, we don't really think about food. When we are satisfied and content, we are not really thinking about it. And sometimes we feel that happiness and that satisfaction motivates us so well that we are able to follow through 3 days of continuously running for 2 miles every single day. We are able to achieve that. Or 3 weeks of going on a weekly hike and doing a 2-hour hike every week. We are able to follow through with all of that because we feel that sense of joy, we feel the sense of happiness, we feel the sense of contentment. Now, let's look at some emotions we might soothe by eating. And it might be about you, it might be other people that you notice. What are the general emotions that we are trying to soothe when we are eating? Just go ahead and put it in the chat. And for those of you watching the recording, go ahead and do this exercise as well. This is a very important mirror exercise because, and some of this actually might feel uncomfortable because you've never really thought about it. We never really go deeper into what are those emotions I'm trying to soothe. But when the self-awareness is 50% of the healing, this is what I believe in. If you're not even aware of what's going on, how are we going to heal it? Right? So just stay and bear with me as we go through this little bit of discomfort and just facing those things that's happening within. Yes. Okay. So I'm getting some answers in the chat. Sadness is one. Yes. Happiness too. That's interesting. Yes. So when it is sadness, it is an emotion. When it is happiness, it's a pattern. Because we have grown, like in our culture, birthday parties, let's go out and eat. This is a special day. Let's celebrate with desserts. Let's celebrate with ice creams. And that is the pattern that we have grown up with over the years. And that stays in the subconscious mind as well. So emotion is the chain that is holding us back, and the patterns, subconscious patterns, are the pathway that is taking us. So it's not allowing us to change those patterns. So yes, greed is one. Greed again uh, is a way that we are thinking about something, but basically that greediness is coming because of a pattern, because you want more and more of it, and you're habituated to not feeling content unless you have more of a particular substance. And this can be with anything, not just food, but in our case, it is food. So let me tell you a story of someone whom I know. And this is a young girl who was actually quite overweight for many, many years. She's grown up overweight, and she was trying to lose weight, trying to lose weight. She would do some diet and stop. She spent, lots of money on programs, and she wouldn't even complete the program. She would lose interest and she say, oh, it's too hard. I can't sustain it. And oh, I am so stressed. I need to eat something. And all of those things came in. And finally, that girl, she had a health crisis. And when she had a health crisis, she got a condition where she had to lose weight. There was no other way. Otherwise, she was getting into extreme pain mode. So basically, that health crisis was like the deadline for her, that hey, either you're losing weight or it's going to affect all your future. And then she took her decision. She did a lot of work with herself, work with herself. She worked on her emotions, but mainly she took a decision that I will break my patterns. I'll break my childhood patterns. I'll break my emotional patterns. And if I feel emotional, I'll do other things to make me feel better, but I'm going to break those patterns. And once she was able to break those patterns, things became much, much better. And in a couple of months, actually, she lost a lot of weight. She had to work with other health coaches and nutritionists, but it wasn't as hard as it used to be in the past for her. Okay. Okay. So what is the real weight that we are carrying? We think we are carrying this weight, which is in the body, but what is the real weight that is we are carrying? The real weight is the emotional weight. It can be grief. It can be guilt. It can be shame. It can be unprocessed anger. It can be a lot of stress. It can be fear. There is a research that's proven that children who have gone through childhood abuse, the subconscious basically goes into the state of, I need this body fat as a buffer, as a safety mechanism to protect this person from feeling unsafe. There's so much of lack of safety in the subconscious mind because of that abusive situation. And it could be physical abuse, just bullying. It could be emotional abuse. It could be sexual abuse. But all of that kind of creates that weight as a buffer. Okay. Now let's look at one more example. Julie is always giving. She's giving to her husband, giving to her kids, giving to her parents, and even to her neighbors. But when it comes to her own needs, she doesn't have time, right? And what happens? Food becomes her only quick source of relief or reward, because she doesn't have that sense of self-worth. So when self-worth is tied to caregiving, oh, I'm doing this for others, which happens to so many of us. We are all compassionate, empathetic, wonderful women. But when self-worth is tied to caregiving, women often forget to care for themselves. And unless we reclaim that right, no, I need to rest. I need to be more happy. I need to calm down my anger. I need to work on my stress and give our subconscious mind, our emotions, the attention that it needs. We will not be able to bounce back. So, what is the pattern in this example is self sabotage. And you may never think of the word self sabotage when you think about somebody being a caregiver and somebody being doing things for others. But that's the true thing. The real giving is when you give yourself and you have an overflow of love and time and energy and ability to give for others. But when you're depleting from yourself and giving, that's a kind of self sabotage. So there's a lot of stories that we can hear about people that saying that I don't deserve this. This is not for me. I don't want this. Okay, so again, another pattern that we can notice is many of us get caught up with mind body weight loop. Now, what is that mind body weight loop? There might be childhood food patterns. We talked about some patterns like in my house also, when I was bringing up my children, one of the things that we used to do as celebration is go out and eat. And you'd say, oh, let's celebrate. Oh, I can eat more pizza today. I can eat whatever I want. I can eat as much cake as I want. Let's have extra cake. Let's have extra chocolates. And so the celebration, the pattern is tied with eating more junk or more sugar or more unhealthy thing. Other patterns can also be there. It need not be just like this. It could be a pattern that you're learning from your mom or your dad. Maybe they have patterns that and I'll just share a little bit more. Look at this. A pattern could be mom always gave me cookies or cake if I get good grades. Good job. You got your topmost grade. Come on, let's celebrate. Let's buy you a cake. Or if I got hurt or cried, mom pulled out the ice cream. Or when family got together to celebrate, we overate. Or if I was a bad child, my parents would say, hey, you were not good, so you're not getting any dessert today. Or no chocolates for this week. So the food became the pattern of food connected to food became tied as a reward. So we equate food with feeling better, and the subconscious mind starts understanding and thinking that I feel loved when I'm eating whatever is it. Maybe it's chocolate or maybe it's ice cream. And the pattern that we have established is food is equal to comfort, love, and support, right? Another example would be Rina was consistent with her diet and exercise. This is again another example that you might relate to. She actually lost 10 kgs in a strict program. She invested money, went into a weight loss program, and she lost 10 kg, but she couldn't maintain it. Why? Because there was stress at home. There was guilt around food. She was made to feel guilty if she's eating. And there is an inner criticism, there's an inner self-talk that, hey, you're eating too much. So while she's eating the chocolate, a part of her mind is saying, hey, you are so late. You have no discipline. You have no self-control. Look how you're eating. So that inner critic starts getting activated, which means what? When we have these harsh judgments within us, the food doesn't break up well and doesn't get digested well in the body, and then it accumulates as fat. Whereas some people, when they are very happy and eating very happily, they might find that they don't have that kind of result. So this, in Rina's case, this was how she gained it all back. So unless we work on the inner stress, emotion, and identity is healed, the body will always go back to the familiar weight. And sometime back, I mentioned about childhood abuse, right? If somebody has been had gone through a very severe emotional abuse, molestation issues in the childhood, and that's not being worked on, then the body kind of goes back to that familiar weight because that weight feels like a protective mechanism to the subconscious mind. And if you have any questions coming up, just put it in the chat or you just keep a note on it and I will take those questions at the end. Another example is Alicia was told, you're just too big boned like your aunt. Or girls in our family always struggle with weight, right? These messages become internalized. You keep hearing, oh, you have always been heavy, or all women in our family are heavy. We just don't lose weight. So that message becomes very internalized in the body, in the mind. And so she subconsciously starts believing that she'll never be thin, no matter what she does. So the subconscious mind obeys the beliefs that we planted early on. And unless those beliefs are questioned, true change feels impossible. And what is the pattern here? The limiting belief that I will never be thin. Now, I just want to kind of pause here to let you know that this is not about body image. It's not about saying, hey, because you have more weight, you're not beautiful. We don't want to give those, that itself becomes a self-judgment. An external judgment becomes self-judgment. And then we start thinking, hey, that I'm not beautiful because I have this fat here, I have this fat there, or I have a big tummy, or I have my hands are plump, whatever it is. When we start questioning that as a body image, it becomes a body image issue that becomes even more difficult. But what we are looking at here is the deeper subconscious patterns that is actually preventing us from taking the action that we need to take. So if we want to lose weight, and the why of why we want to lose weight might just be I want to be healthy. Or it just maybe that I want to fit into my clothes that I used to fit 10 years back. Or it's just that I want to lose weight because I feel more lighter. Otherwise, I don't like the way I'm eating. It could be any reason. But finally, when we work on these underlying patterns, we will be able to see much more deeper results. Now, I'm just going to kind of skip this. Okay. So we were talking about beliefs, right? So what belief do you think that we might have that is keeping us stuck? Like in the example that we saw, that lady had a belief that I don't think I can ever be thin. Or a belief that, I have crossed a particular age, my metabolism is slow, so I cannot lose weight. Or I just need my sugar as a daily fix, otherwise I cannot survive. That could be a belief. So what is the belief that you have observed either in yourself or in other people that makes us feel more stuck? Anybody? I think for me, one big belief is that, oh, I'm in my 50s now. I've crossed a particular age. I don't know if my body can, have that metabolism to lose weight. That is one of my beliefs, and I want to break that belief. Yes, and the belief is I don't have self-control. I don't have self-discipline. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, all right, my metabolism is against me. It's not in favor of me. Yes, and these are beliefs that we just have to notice because we have to break those patterns. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to learn a tool. Yeah, this is who I am is also the belief. Yes, because you get so caught up with the identity of how you're looking right now. You can't even imagine or visualize a body that is different from what you're having right now. So one of the tools that I teach in my sessions with my clients and also in classes is that we have to flip that belief, because that belief is also like a program that's keeping that subconscious going in the same pattern, right? So we have to flip the belief to something more compassionate. So let's look at some examples. For example, I have no willpower. That's a belief. It's a limiting belief. I have no willpower. I have no discipline. I'm lazy. I can't do this, right? You might relate to this belief. How do you flip that belief? You can say, I've been trying to meet emotional needs through food. And that makes so much sense. But now I'm learning other ways to care for myself. I'm learning. So when you say I have no willpower, you change it to I've been trying to meet my emotional needs through food, but now I'm learning other ways to take care of myself. Or a belief like my body is useless, or am I unattractive? Instead, you flip it to, my body has been doing its best to protect me. It's not useless. It is not broken. In fact, it's been doing a fabulous job. It's been speaking to me, and now I am ready to listen. Now I am ready to listen. Yes. Okay, we have some more tools coming up. But before that, I just want to kind of pause and share about my 4-week healing journey, a workshop that I'm offering. As I was offering this, planning for this masterclass, I realized, and also in my work with my clients, I've realized that there are 4 areas that people always get stuck with. And that is the area that is actually preventing them, not just for losing weight, but this is for helping us heal our body. That's helping us, have a better relationship. That's helping us, that these 4 areas prevent us from creating the life that we really want to lead. And those are the areas when we work, it is stress, emotions, and inner child. And I explained to you what inner child means, and our limiting beliefs. So in the examples just now, you heard about limiting beliefs like I'm lazy and I don't have lack of self-control. That is one kind of limiting belief. Another limiting belief could be I'm not good enough, I'm not capable enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not beautiful enough. All of that could be a limiting belief. When you talk about stress, stress comes in many, many forms. And today, look at the world today, right? It's a crazy world out there. Every single day when you switch on the news, you are liable. If you want to increase your BP, please switch on the news, right? In 10 minutes flat, your BP goes up. That's how the world is today. There's so many things happening outside that is liable to increase our stress. So many things happening within the household, whether it's our children, whether it is our domestic finances, whether it is our kitchen, whether it is our health. All of that can, affect and increase our stress. And I'm sure there are a million other areas that can trigger us with stress. But unless we learn actively how to manage stress on a day-to-day basis, on a moment-to-moment basis, we won't be able to, bring that life, create that life that we want to create. Third one is emotions. We talked a lot about emotions so far. We talked about anger, we talked about guilt. I recently posted a Facebook article on grief. I talked about my own journey with grief. I talked about how I lost my parents and my brother and how that catapulted me into grief. And I realized that I needed to work on those griefs. And when I worked on my grief, I found that my discipline was improving much better. My choices were much better. I was a much more happier person, and I was able to do what I wanted to do in life. So the stress, emotions, and beliefs are something that is familiar to all of you. You must be wondering, what is your healing your inner child? Now, between the ages of 0 to 10, and this is a very, very important thing, which most people don't realize, especially in our culture, between the age of 0 to 10, whatever happens in the child's life, whatever is told to the child, whatever parenting style is practiced on the child, goes deep into the subconscious mind. There is no conscious mind from 0 to 10. Conscious mind is like the guard, night guard, saying, hey, this is good for me, this is not good for me. This person is saying something, I don't think it's true. All those analytical understandings is what the conscious mind does. It's like the watchman who allows people seeing their ID, okay, you are authorized to enter this building, and then, oh, you're not authorized, you can go back. That is the conscious mind. But from 0 to 10, the child doesn't have a conscious mind, which means if the parent says you're dumb, or if the parent says you're lazy, or if the teacher says you are stupid, you don't know how to do math, or anything like that, the child actually absorbs it, and they are not able to follow through. They are not able to break that and say, no, I'm excellent at math, or I am not dumb, or I am not stupid. They're not able to say that. They start believing 100%. So it goes deep into the subconscious mind. And so all of us, there is not one of us who are exempt from it. All of us have a part of us, which is the inner child, which is the child part of us between 0 and 10, which has been affected by life's experiences, by our parents. Even if we have had the best of parents, we can only parent the way that they have been parented, right? It's not to blame our parents, but however they have parented or whatever has happened in our life from 0 to 10, that has gone deep into our subconscious. And so we need to heal our inner child. So these are the four aspects that actually I put together in this workshop, and I realized that this is very, very important, especially for weight loss, but it's also important for our life. And in this 4 week, we are not going to talk about counting calories or dieting or fitness. I am not a fitness coach. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. So I will not be talking about all that. But I will be talking about things which I am trained in. Is we are going to help you listen to the voice of the body. What is the body trying to say? And we are going to learn tools to bring in more relaxation, to heal the inner child, to reset the beliefs, do some visualizations, do some hypnosis, do some exercises, all in a safe, supportive space. So my goal, I'm not planning for too many people in the workshop, just so that we can keep it a little bit more intimate space. So in that closed space, we could be doing that. So if you look at it, 4 weeks, the first week is on relaxation, stress relief. Week 2 is caring for your emotions. Week 3 is inner child healing. And week 4 is resetting the beliefs. And what we're going to learn is more tools, awareness techniques, inner child healing, and mindset and belief work. And these are the dates for the workshop: October 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th, from 5:30 to 7 Pacific time. And the investment is there, but there is an early bird discount. And I just wanted to kind of remind everybody that this discount ends tomorrow, that is August 30th. So it's a big chunk discount. I really wanted more and more people to benefit from this. So that's why I have given big discounts. And if you know people in India who will benefit from this, and I'll share the recording with all of you who will benefit from that, you can share it with them, and they can reach out to me and WhatsApp me, for special India related pricing. Okay, so this was it, and this masterclass is not really to promote my 4 week workshop. It is to inform you about it. But even if you choose not to come for my 4 week workshop, the whole goal of this masterclass is for you to get clarity and have a deeper understanding of how many things, how many layers are there beyond what we normally actually, we suppress it. We suppress our emotions. We ignore emotions. And in many of us are in the spiritual community, we bypass our emotions with spirituality. We think, oh, we are doing so much of prayers, we are doing so much of meditations, and so I don't need to work on that. But that's not true. You just like you can't say, oh, I'm doing so many prayers, so I don't need to go to work. You can never say that. Or I'm doing so many prayers and meditation, so I don't need to cook food and eat, and I don't need to do that. We don't say that. So we know that we need to feed our body and take care of our bodily needs. Similarly, while meditation and spirituality has its place, and I am totally in for it, that we cannot bypass and the emotions, and we have to heal our emotions. So that's why this 4 week workshop is. So please pass it on, this information on to your friends. And if you feel called to and feel ready to take this, please register. I will send you the registration link. Let me put it in the chat as well. And I will send it by email. This has a lot of information about the workshop itself. Who it is meant for, and how, and you have a recording about about the workshop. But mainly it is, you can click that link to register if you want to do that. Okay, so that having said that, I want to get back to do a gentle visualization. And this is a very, very nice visualization, which is actually targeted towards healing that inner child. We talked about inner child, and we're going to do a little bit of that healing right now. So, feeling ready? Yes? Yes? Awesome. So go ahead, and this won't take too long. We'll try and end in another 5 minutes. So go ahead and sit comfortably. Close your eyes when you're ready. And just focus on your breathing. Focus on your breathing. And for a moment, just imagine that you are in your happy place. And this might be a place from your past, from your childhood. This might be a place that you had gone for a vacation with your family or by yourself. Maybe a place in nature. Or maybe just sitting in your backyard, sipping your favorite cup of tea. But just imagine that you are there right now. Just be there. Notice the visuals around you. Notice the sounds around you. Maybe you're hearing the sounds of the wave, or you're hearing the sounds of the birds. Feel the sensations in your body. And most importantly, just feel that sense of lightness in your heart. Feel the sense of the lightness and the joy in your heart. And just connect with it. And as you're seated there, imagine that you're able to connect with your inner child. Almost you're cloning yourself, and there is a duplicate version of you in front of you. So Lata is in front of me, and Lata is speaking to me. So just imagine that. And let's call this duplicate version of you as your best friend. Just notice that best friend sitting in front of you. She's looking at you with the eyes of love. And she's speaking directly to that little child within them. That little child. And all she does is hold your hands. And she's telling you, you've done such an amazing job. You've had a rough life. And you've come through it. You've done an amazing job. There were so many parts of that rough road that was really hard for you. But you survived it. You did it with excellence. I want to let you know that how proud I am of you. You are amazing. And if you have survived all of that in the past, you can survive a lot in the future as well. You have the strength. You have the resilience. You have the courage. You have the discipline. And I want to let you know that you are not alone. I am with you. I am with you right now. And as she's holding your hand, you can literally feel the love flowing in from her into you. You can feel it. Go ahead and breathe it in. And know that you are not broken. Know that you're trying your best and you're doing an amazing job at it. And with all this love that's flowing into you, you can take your life in the pathway that you want. You can take some decisions and you will enforce it and take action on those decisions exactly the way that you want. Enjoy this for a couple more seconds. Enjoy the happy place. And whenever you feel ready, you can come back to the here and now. Just opening your eyes as I count 1 to 3. 1, 2, and 3. Amazing. Thank you for doing this with me, all of you. So we are just concluding that part. So things that you can try at home is awareness. We can track our emotions, just starting to notice our emotions before eating or whenever we are popping things up. For me, it's a lot of stress, not stress, a lot of boredom. I find that there's a lot empty spaces or loneliness that I kind of prompts me, and also some past habits. So I need to break those past patterns and habits. And one thing that has helped me a lot is to speak with kindness to myself, because the moment I start judging myself, I start labeling myself, I start calling myself I'm lazy, or I don't have willpower, I don't have self-control, it becomes even more difficult. So I want to say words to me which I want to say to my child. So that's the kind of kindness control that I want to have. So with this, we come to the end of today's workshop. I'm going to stop recording. Really want to thank you here. Okay.